He started looking at me like I was something worth protecting, and that terrified me. The summer break just came to an end, and somehow it felt like it ended too quickly, yet not quickly enough. I sat at the back seat of the car, pressed against the cool leather, Leo beside me like always, legs stretched out, phone in hand, completely absorbed in whatever world lived behind a screen. The road hummed beneath the tires as we drove, the sound steady, familiar, safe. Lee was driving. My gaze drifted past the window, watching houses blur into trees into open road. Everything looked the same, but it wasn't. Not really. A lot happened during the summer break. Too much, actually. For the first time in my life, I knew what it felt like to belong somewhere. To wake up to voices in the kitchen, to arguments that didn't mean abandonment, to laughter that didn't echo back empty. Family warmth. Brotherly love. I swallowed softly and looked away from the window, my thoughts betraying me. Before the break, school had finally gone back to normal. The whispers died. The stares faded. The incident at the party became one of those things people talked about less and less, until it almost felt unreal, like it never happened at all. Almost. Some people remembered, though. They remembered because Amber hasn't returned to school. Rumors said she would be returning today. The thought sat heavy in my chest, twisting something deep inside me. I shifted slightly in my seat. I'm used to sitting at the back with Leo. That never changes. What changes is the way Lee keeps glancing at the rearview mirror. I didn't notice at first. I was too busy wondering what the first day of resumption would bring. Too busy replaying moments I wasn't supposed to replay. Too busy thinking about eyes the color of stormy seas, and a voice that had learned how to soften around me. I felt it before I heard it. That familiar weight. That quiet pull. Careful, Chloe murmured faintly, like a shadow stretching. Your thoughts are loud today. I inhaled slowly. Sorry, I whispered under my breath. Wondering again? Lee's voice cut through my thoughts, jolting me back into the car. I looked up instinctively, meeting Lee's eyes through the mirror. He flashed that smile, the one that didn't belong to him, the one that could make girls lose their balance if he wanted it to. I returned the smile, a fake one, because how does he always know? I wasn't, I said lightly. He hummed, unconvinced. You always say that. Leo glanced up from his phone briefly, smirked, then went back to whatever he was doing. Lee shook his head slightly. Stop wondering and vibe instead. Before I could respond, he turned on the music. The car filled with sound. Loud, familiar, comforting. Leo was the first to give in, singing along badly and unapologetically. He nudged my knee with his own, grinning at me like he always did. Your turn, he said. I hesitated for half a second. Then I joined in, at first quietly, casually. But something about the moment cracked open, and before I knew it, I was laughing, singing louder, letting myself exist without thinking. Lee tapped his fingers against the steering wheel in rhythm, smiling to himself. For a moment, it felt normal, Too normal. And that was when the memory slipped in. The morning after the truth came out, I expected silence, distance, fear. I sat on my bed, knees pulled to my chest, staring at the wall like it might swallow me whole. Chloe was restless inside me, pacing, waiting for rejection. You shouldn't have done that. Now, he knows what next. The door creaked open. I flinched. Lee stepped in slowly, like he was approaching something fragile. I didn't look at him. I couldn't. He didn't speak at first, just stood there. Then he crossed the room and placed a cup of tea on my bedside table. You didn't sleep, he said quietly. It wasn't a question. I finally looked up. His eyes weren't cold. They weren't angry. They were worried. You should eat something too, he added, straightening slightly. Breakfast is ready. That was it. No interrogation. No accusations. No fear. Just care. When he turned to leave, he paused at the door. And Addison, he said, glancing back. You're not alone, not anymore. The door closed behind him, and something inside me shifted. Present. The car slowed as we pulled into the school parking lot. Reality settled back in. The music faded. The laughter quieted. Students filled the lot. Voices overlapping. Energy buzzing with excitement of a new semester. I stepped out of the car, adjusting my bag on my shoulder. Lee was already beside me. Too close. Protective without trying to be. His presence was like a shield I never asked for, and one I wasn't sure I was allowed to accept. This is how it starts, Chloe whispered. I lifted my gaze toward the school building, ready to head in. Inside the building, everything felt louder. Posters announcing welcome back. Plastered the walls, too cheerful for a place that was once solemnly quiet. Kelly was the first to reach out. Addie. She came running like she always did, arms wrapping around me tightly, nearly knocking the breath out of my lungs. I laughed softly, hugging her back. Missed you, she said, pulling away to look at me properly. You look different. I raised a brow. Different how? She shrugged. I don't know. Just lighter. Before I could respond, she turned to Leo, greeting him sweetly. Danny and JJ appeared seconds later, arguing about something pointless. They shook hands with Lee and Leo, turning into playful shoulder bumps. For a moment, I just stood there watching them, smiling to myself. This beautiful little circle I somehow belong to now. First day back, Danny said, turning to me. Try not to disappear this semester, yeah? JJ grinned. Or start another mystery. I chuckled. All right, take care of yourself, okay? We'll be heading to class now, Leo said, flashing me a quick grin over his shoulder. We'll meet during lunch. I nodded slightly. And please, don't look for trouble today, he added, making me choke. Oh, come on, I said bluntly. When did I become a troublemaker? The others laughed. Lee paused. His eyes met mine, steady, searching. Don't overthink today, he said quietly. I'll see you later. I nodded. And just like that, they were gone. Kelly watched them walk off, then slowly turned back to me, eyes sparkling with mischief. You know, she said, dragging the words out. Most girls would kill to have brothers like that. I scoffed. They're just being normal. She snorted. Normal? Addie, Lee Zachary barely looked at you before. Now, he talks like he's guarding a treasure. I opened my mouth to deny it, and that was when I saw her. Amber. She appeared at the corner of my vision, like a shadow slipping into light. Her red hair caught the sun as she stepped forward, arms already wrapping around Lee. She hugged him, sweetly, too sweetly. My chest tightened. "She is back," Chloe whispered. I watched them talk, close, familiar. Amber smiled up at him, her hand lingering on his arm longer than necessary. Lee didn't pull away immediately. Leo, Danny, and JJ stood for a while before continuing down the hallway, leaving them behind. Something sharp twisted inside me. It wasn't anger. It was worse. I looked away quickly. "Stop lying to yourself," Chloe murmured. "You're jealous." "Shut up," I whispered back under my breath. Chloe chuckled mockingly, low and amused. Kelly was already tugging at my hand. "Come on, we'll be late." I let her pull me away, but the image stayed with me. And then the memory slipped in. During summer break, the smell of sunscreen and fresh grass filled the air. The backyard was alive with laughter. Blankets spread near the pool. Snacks scattered everywhere. It had started with just the 5 of us, Leo, Kelly, Danny, JJ, and me, lounging, talking, soaking in the warmth of the afternoon. Lee wasn't there. At first, then footsteps sounded behind us. No one told me there was a picnic going on. We all turned. Lee stood there holding a small cooler in one hand and a bag slung over his shoulder, towels peeking out, bottles clinking softly. Everyone froze for half a second. "You're welcome to join," Leo said slowly, suspicious. Lee shrugged, already setting his things down. "I live here too." He glanced at me, the corners of his lips lifting in something real. And then he smiled. He sat beside me, handing me drinks before I asked. "Here, eat some," he said, dishing a small handful of chips into my palm. "And here's your water," he added, acting nice and sweetly, like it was the most natural thing in the world. I felt the weird stares surrounding us. They didn't know a lot had changed between us. They didn't know about late-night conversations, quiet moments, truths exchanged when the house was asleep. He jolted up and went into the kitchen, probably to grab something, and for a moment it felt like nothing had changed. But something has. He was different, and I wasn't sure if I could trust it. But my thoughts were interrupted when Leo leaned over. "What did you do to change him?" he asked in a whisper, almost to himself. I shrugged. Nothing. He just felt it wasn't worth it distancing himself. "I told you he will come around," he replied, smiling to himself. Lee returned not long after, suddenly stretching his hand out to me. "Pool," he said simply. I laughed. "I'm not wearing swimming pants." "It doesn't matter," he replied, already tugging gently. "No, Lee, I don't feel like it." I resisted playfully, laughing slightly, just as he bent slightly, preparing to lift me. "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on." Leo jumped up. "I'm not getting something right here. When did you guys get this along?" "Last time I checked." "Lee, you didn't like being around Addie." Lee paused, then smirked. "You know I don't like being grumpy," he said casually. "She's my sister after all. I can't ignore her forever." Before anyone could say anything else, he jumped into the pool with me. Water splashed everywhere. The afternoon exploded into laughter, shouts, bodies diving in, sunlight dancing on the surface as we swam, teased, lived. My head ached slightly as I slipped inside to grab a drink. "You didn't tell me about this," Kelly muttered, appearing beside me in the kitchen, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. I hesitated. It's not much of a big deal. And you thought it wasn't necessary to tell me? Since we both know how Lee has been towards you. All right, I'm sorry, I scoffed. Since when did it start? She asked. A few weeks ago, before the last semester ended. Her eyes widened. That's like a month ago. She stared at me. And you kept it from me? I smiled softly. I didn't know how to explain it. She shook her head slowly. Wow. Present. The classroom door came into view. Kelly released my hand, already chatting about schedules and teachers. I took my seat by the window, heart still caught somewhere between past and present. Amber is back. Lee had changed. I stared at the empty chair across the room, a strange feeling settling deep inside me. The semester has just begun. To be continued. If you felt the tension, if you noticed the change, if you're already questioning intentions, like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Who do you trust right now, Lee or Leo? And should Addison be afraid of what she's starting to feel? Season 2 has officially begun. Don't miss what comes next.